Greetings. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thursday is a day governed by Jupiter, and Jupiter is currently at the first degree of Aquarius. Yes! He's there with Saturn. Well, not so much yes, but that means we're really going to spend the next year looking more closely at who we've been and expanding into new aspects of ourselves that we didn't even know we had. That's really what this means. But before I talk about Jupiter in Aquarius and the moon in Taurus today, I want to invite you to go register for the Great Conjunction readings that I'm doing. This reading will assist you in really understanding which aspect of your life is being impacted by this shift into the age of Aquarius. And if you can understand, what's being asked of you, and that really what's being asked of you is something that is really deeply intimate and sort of out of your conscious awareness in some way. Like you might feel a sense of it, but because it's Aquarius is beyond us. It's we can't see it in this reality. So you're not going to be able to look to someone and necessarily go, that's what I should be doing. It is unique to you. It is deep inside of you. So that's the interesting thing about this aspect in these readings, is that my intention is to help you see yourself and where you are to be in relationship to the Aquarian energy, which is the divine mind of God. It is, like I like to say, when 40 years ago, we had no idea that an iPhone would come or that technology would be what it is now. But it is here and it has changed our lives. And that is what the age of Aquarius is. It's like you don't even know what's going to come that will bring you into another way of being, into a deeper identity with yourself. And that is still moving to you, and you are still moving to it, whatever it is. And so the question is, how do you align yourself so that you can move towards that gracefully? So I encourage you to come get a reading. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion and blessings. Jupiter is the planet that governs the vision. It's the planet of like the global consciousness. It's the planet that governs our philosophy and our attempt to understand man or woman's relationship to the divine. It's our attempt to create practices that bring us to our higher selves, to the divine within us, to the God self within us, to the knowing within us. Jupiter is the planet that governs knowing and wisdom, and knowing and wisdom and information and faith, right? It's like the more you know, the more faith you have, because you have a deeper understanding of how things all work together. So that's Jupiter. And Aquarius is an energy that is it's about one thing, and that is about non-conformity. Like, where are you conforming and being like everyone else, or being like you were yesterday? Right? It's like we are supposed to die daily, right? And be something new, be more than we were the day before, be unique in a different way. And what happens is we want to secure ourselves, and so then we decide to dive into this sort of practicing of the same thing. We decide to allow our comforts and the things that we are familiar with to take the primary role in our lives, rather than being able to go into the unseen and unfamiliar. That's one of the things about Jupiter. Jupiter is about foreign experiences, like being in foreign spaces. And being in foreign spaces just means being in spaces where you don't know anything, right? Where it's all anew to you. So then your senses are completely open and anything can happen because you're not in that routine. You're not in that way you've been doing it. So there are new things that can meet you. And Aquarius is that in its own unique way. It's like being willing to break away from the confines of the old constructs. It's like being willing or excited, enthusiastic about letting go of the old ways of being. And so Jupiter here says it's time for innovation. It's time to do things in ways that you've never considered before. It's time to explore. It's time to dream. It's time to take risk. It's time to really shake free from the old constraints, the old confinements, and be true to yourself and be new with yourself. Yesterday, I had a reading with a woman. Oh, and if she's listening, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm not going to say her name, but where she had her South Node in Libra, and she had been in this role of taking care of other people and making other people her priority. And so in this new great conjunction, I was saying to her, what would it mean if you made yourself your priority? Like, what would it mean if you stopped following this women's morality that says women have to take care of children and women have to take care of their parents and women have to do, and not that any of those things are wrong, but what if you questioned it? Where would you be if you even gave yourself permission to question it? And that's what I'm talking about. We're breaking away from the old ways of being that we have created, that we have lived into. And Jupiter in Aquarius says, what else is possible? I know for me, this has been so challenging because I have had a tendency to really hide, really masquerade the truth of really who I am. Like that I'm weird and that I believe in space and that I follow planets and stars and that I believe in magic. And maybe a few people have known this about me, but when new people meet me, like especially men, I would turn it off and, try to be like, I'm this woman who's like every other woman. And I'm seeing that I cannot continue to do that. I cannot continue to make myself try to fit in, to give myself a mask that says I'm like everyone else. I fit in here because I do not. And so that's what I'm going to be working on, really being deeply authentic and true to myself in the area of my organizations and friends and questioning, like who I surround myself with. Are these people in alignment with my belief systems? Or do we support, do we benefit one another in some way? So this Jupiter in Aquarius is asking you to look closely at who you've been and to see where you have been denying yourself, where you have not been allowing your authenticity to be fully expressed, and then to create ways to take that on. And that's what the class that I'm going to be offering next week will start to do. It's going to be a 1-year class where every month we're going to focus on a new aspect of embodying that alien energy, that Aquarian energy, that foreign energy that allows us to truly become who we're here to be. We have the moon today at the 2nd degree of Taurus. But first, before I say that, Jupiter at the 1st degree of Aquarius is this energy of, what do I want to call it? Jupiter at the 1st degree of Aquarius is this energy of innocence. And Jupiter in Aquarius, right? It's like innocence says everything is possible. Everything is possible. So today, while Jupiter's in Aquarius, just really think of all the ways that you're suppressing yourself. You don't have to figure out how. Don't think about who would be upset if they found out, or if you came this way, what would happen. Don't think about any of that. Just think about inside of yourself, what would it feel like to give yourself permission to be yourself? And innocence says every possibility is available. There are no blocks. Nothing is confined. Nothing is confined. And then the moon at the second degree of Taurus. The moon is our internal reality. Taurus is how we make money, our senses, our value, how we feel about ourselves. And the moon is at the second degree of Taurus. And the moon at the second degree of Taurus says, you are pure. You are pure in your like what you feel is pure. It deserves to live. It deserves to be considered. You know, your senses, your taste, what you hear, like how you live in your body is true, is authentic, it is pure. It is not convoluted. It is not toxic. It is not, you can let go of your paranoias. It is not, it's not something negative or bad. And when you trust the purity of who you are at your core, oh God, this stuff is so deep to me. When you trust the purity of who you are at your core, you can touch the divine within you and then create whatever it is you desire. But you've got to give yourself permission to let go of your worries, your doubts, your fears, your self-judgments, your self-loathing, and trust in the purity of who you are. You got to forgive yourself for the things that you are holding against yourself. You got to forgive yourself for the things you're holding against others, because whatever you're holding against others, you're also holding against yourself in some way, because it's in your consciousness. So today, while Jupiter's at the first degree of Aquarius and we are really embodying our innocence, before they told you what was good and what was bad and don't do this and you shouldn't do that, like, what did you feel? Before they started putting the coat of shame and guilt and fitting in and belonging on top of you, and before you accepted it and said, okay, I'll do what you want me to do so you'll love me, because that's what we do. Before you did that, who were you? And that's what we're calling for today, that innocence in Aquarius. Before you were your mother's child, before you were your father's child, who were you? Touch that. And with the moon in Taurus in your body, it's like, know that when you touch that, that's your purity. There is nothing wrong with you. Has never been anything wrong with you. You have never been hurt, harmed, or endangered in any way. So, use this day. This is a great day, this Jupiter day, to have faith in yourself and to find the energy to be true to yourself, and come and get a reading. You can go find it in my link tree here. The reading, the Great Conjunction reading, and consider enrolling for the class that I'll have the link for next week. It's a 1-year class. There will be a commitment involved, but you can do it, because this age of Aquarius in your life, you deserve it. You deserve to let go of the old paradigm and to step more powerfully in the possibilities of what is happening. And what I know is that the astrology is completely open, completely open. It's a whole new reality out here. So come and join me. Peace and blessings. I'm the Moon Mama. Bye-bye.